Oh, it is. It is. Hump Day episode. Wednesday edition of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno, taking you for the next hour or so. Miami Heat getting it done, bros. Heat win 115-105 in game 2 last night from FTX Arena. Little statistic for you, my friends. Teams that go up 2-0 to start an NBA playoff series go on to win said series 92% of the time. So how we feeling, Heat fans? How are we feeling? It was the Jimmy freaking Butler show last night. I love the fact that this Miami Heat team, much like the players who put on the uniform, overall this team is so versatile. You can get the workman-like lunch pail type performances where everybody chips in and you can't really pick out who was the MVP tonight. Well, maybe it was a few different guys on some nights. It was Tyler and Jimmy and Bam and PJ Tucker. They can put in those type of efforts where everybody is chipping in and getting big W's. But when you need it most, like last night, you've got a guy who's among the best players, among the very best players in the NBA, who's able to put on the cape, become a superhero, and fucking terminate. That's what Jimmy Butler did. Jimmy Butler became Terminator last night. Not only was the stat line absolutely exquisite, in fact, let me share a couple of visual illustrations of that, right? Because it's one thing to watch this guy just jawing on and on and on about it. It's another thing to be actually staring at these images in the face here. Miami Heat players to have 3 or more 40-point games in the playoffs. Only 3 have done it, and it's the 3 you would probably expect, right? Jimmy Butler joins LeBron James and Dwayne Wade to become the third, and there's only 3 of them, Miami Heat players to have 3 or more 40-point games in the playoffs. And that was not just any 40-point game, my friends. As you see this one, Jimmy Butler, second player in NBA history with 45 plus points, 0 turnovers, which is remarkable. 0 fouls in a playoff game, joining Dominique Wilkins. I mean, that is extra special. And it wasn't just the stat line, guys. It wasn't just the 45 points. It wasn't just what Jimmy did from beyond the arc, because that's the big thing that's astounding. And hold on, let me pull up one more tweet, because Ethan wrote a tweet about this. He was at the post-game presser last night with Eric Spoelstra and the Heat players that went to the podium. Eric Spoelstra calls it reasonable to compare Jimmy Butler to Dwayne Wade in terms of being more lethal from 3 in the playoffs. He says, would you leave Dwayne open in a big moment? You would not, because he's a killer. He's going to seize the moment. Jimmy has a lot of those same qualities. And I love, Jimmy talked about this as well after the game last night, that when he's in the zone and he goes into Terminator mode, when he's stupidly locked in, to use his phrase from a couple years ago, when Jimmy goes into Terminator mode, he doesn't even realize if he's behind the arc or in front of the arc. He's just taking the shots that the defense is giving to him. And he's been hitting those threes lately, right? For about the last 10 games, he's been stupidly locked in, hitting 3-pointers. So, yeah, 4 for 7 from 3. Those are not the type of numbers you expect from Jimmy. We mentioned the 45 points, 11 of 12 from the 3 free throw line also. That not only means he's hitting most of his free throws, over 90%, but getting to the line 12 times is important, because that's exactly what you want from the best player on your team. Okay, but what I loved, it wasn't just the 45 points that Mr. Butler scored. It was when he scored 7 of those. Now, Atlanta Hawks fans, they got to be kicking themselves in the face that they end up coming away with another L. Wait, which way? This way. This way would be the L. They come away with another L despite getting a 29-point, 12 for 18 performance from Bogdanovich. I mean, he was tremendous. And he hit that ridiculous corner 3 that cut the game. It cut Miami's lead down to 3 points with 3 minutes remaining. But then that's what I loved about Jimmy turning into the Terminator, because you know what happened? Bogdanovich hits that crazy 3 to cut it down to 3, and we're all having panic attacks, right? Those of you at FTX Arena, you're worried, you're panicking. I'm watching from my living room. I'm panicking. Oh, my God, are we going to blow this game? You know what Jimmy does after that? Jimmy goes on to score 7 straight points. Just takes the game over. Just takes the He was doing everything last night, from the three-pointers, dunks, layups, taking on defenders one-on-one, and just embarrassing people. It was unbelievable. So I'm guessing, and I'm glad. Oh, look, we got people watching on Facebook. I always forget we stream on Facebook as well. We're on 5 Reasons YouTube, but we also stream on Facebook. And before we go any further, I want to remind you guys, if you're watching this right now, whether you're watching this live at 2:05 p.m., April 20th, oh, happy 420, April 20th, year of our Lord 2022, or if you're watching this at some point later on Wednesday or even on Thursday on YouTube, do us a favor. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. And make sure, if you haven't already, that you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. It helps us out, guys. The more likes we get, the more people are going to see this video, the more people are going to see our channel. You're going to spread the word out there. I want you to spread the gospel of the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And if you can, if you're in a generous type of mood today, if you are moved by the Holy Spirit of Jimmy Butler's incredible performance last night and another great Heat win, 2-0 lead in the series, maybe you want to leave us a super chat. If you want to leave us a super chat, it's not mandatory. I don't care if you do or you don't. I mean, I'd prefer you do. But if you want to hit that that $ button, that S button, leave us something in the tip jar. We appreciate that. But yeah, Daniel and McKay Roberts, thank you so much for watching us on Facebook. You said that was an insane game to be at. So I'm guessing you were at the game last night. That had to be incredible. I mean, personally, I prefer being at the game one type of games. Like, I like watching the blowouts. Game two, I mean, margin of victory ended up being 10 points, but we had some tense moments late in that game. Daniel writes back and he says, honestly, there was not a moment of panic in the arena. We knew what Jimmy was on. That's fair. That's fair. There was no reason to believe that Jimmy wouldn't keep doing what he was doing all night. How many times did Lowry hit the deck last? I hope he's okay. He's got like the imprint of the Center Court Heat logo on his jersey. Hello to Big Dan 305. Let's go. And yeah, that's a reminder. Not only should you guys smash the like button and subscribe, but hell, if you're watching us right now, as long as you're logged in, you've got a YouTube profile, a Google profile, partake in the live chat. Everybody's nice in there. I don't see too much bullying going on in the live chat. We're usually pretty good about that stuff. So from the Atlanta Hawks side, I mentioned Bogdanovich had a bounce back game. He shot, what was he, 0 for 8 in game one. He ends up shooting 12 for 18 in game two, 5 of 10 from 3, 29 points. That was a bounce back game. Congratulations to Trae Young for his bounce back game. Congratulations, Trae, for the double-double. 25 points, 10 turnovers. Congratulations, Trae Young. He had a much better game. Bogdanovich had a much better game. The two of them, they shot a combined 1 for 20 in game one. Here's the problem. You can get bounce-back games from both of those guys, although I'm sure Trae Young would like to cut those turnovers in half because 10 turnovers, that's bad. But he had a much better offensive performance. Bogdanovich was unconscious with his offensive performance. So the two of them both bounced back. They combined for over 50 points, and you still lose. It's hopeless. Atlanta, it's hopeless. Now, here's something that I'm expecting, and I'm kind of wondering if it's going to happen in game three. Now, game three, I know technically it's not, but game three is a must win for Atlanta, right? Because if they lose game three, you start making your tee times for Monday, because game four would be Sunday. If you lose game three, they're going to get swept. You might as well start scheduling your tee times at Augusta National if they can even get in there and play. I don't know. Augusta seems so exclusive. Even the Atlanta Hawks, we'll see if they can get in there. But start making your tee times for Monday. It's a must-win game for Atlanta. But if things aren't going well for them, game three, which is Friday. So we're going to get a couple nights off. Nothing tonight for the Heat. Nothing tomorrow night. Friday, Heat Hawks will play game three. If things aren't going well in the Hawks arena, you're going to start hearing those "Let's Go Heat" chants. You're going to start hearing those, man, because you know how that goes. When you're in places like Brooklyn, Atlanta, Orlando, the Heat fans take over. The Heat fans tend to take over buildings like that. So, serious question, guys. We all remember just the incredible individual performance that Jimmy had in the finals 2 years ago, even though the Heat didn't beat the Lakers. I thought Jimmy Butler had the most stellar series out of any individual player, even better than LeBron 2 years ago. Jimmy was incredible. He has statistically the best playoff performance of his life yesterday. I'm not going to say it was his best playoff game ever because, again, he's had some big games in the finals. This was the first round. But statistically, last night was Jimmy's best finals game ever. Where would you guys put now? And I know that this is fluid, right? If the Heat were to end up winning a championship, I'm sure he's going to bounce up your list a little bit or a lot. But where do you put Jimmy Butler on your all-time list of greatest players to ever put on a Miami Heat uniform? Now, if you're being realistic, he's no better than number 3, right? Because obviously, for as much as I'm salty and I'm Team Petty, LeBron James, an incredible player. He graced us in a Heat uniform for 4 years. Dwayne Wade, of course, is he's the symbol. He and Pat Riley really are the symbols of the Miami Heat franchise. So, I mean, Jimmy could do no better than number 3. But do you put Jimmy at number 3? Would you say Jimmy Butler is the third best player to ever put on a Heat uniform? Or do you consider, let's not forget, for what was it, about 2.5, 3.5 years, I think Shaquille O'Neal had the Heat uniform on. Now, you had really his first year in Miami was like the last year of his prime. And then, even the year that they won a championship, things were on the downtrend. But Shaquille O'Neal, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, he had the Heat uniform on for 3.5 years. I would have a very hard time unless he wins a championship here, being honest. I'm not ready to put Jimmy ahead of Alonzo Mourning. Alonzo Mourning, one of the best centers of a generation in the National Basketball Association. And Alonzo, I know it was in the twilight of his career, but he did get that ring here in 2006. And he was a bigger part of that finals run, I think, than a lot of people choose to remember. Like, you're probably not winning that title without me. Dwayne Wade, of course, was the guy who took over, but Alonzo Mourning was absolutely clutch defensively in that series. Tim Hardaway is in that conversation as well. Personally, I think Jimmy better overall player than Timmy. But let's see what Jermaine has to say. He says, and you know what, Cookie Monster? I think that's exactly the way that I see it, if I'm being honest. I think, yeah, obviously Wade and LeBron are untouchable above Jimmy in that pecking order. But yeah, I think I put Alonzo Mourning ahead of Jimmy still as well. But hey, listen, if we can strongly argue that Jimmy Butler, who we're watching right now with our own eyes and just took over the game yesterday, if we can say that Jimmy Buckets is the fourth best player to ever put on a Miami Heat uniform, that may be what we need to win a title. Hello to Jay Smith. Yeah, I think you're onto something here, Nathan. Does Bam need to be more aggressive to win a championship? So far, the games 1 and game 2 performances overall, they've had some moments, but the performances from Bam and Tyler have not been stellar so far. And just you've had enough coming from other places, and you've got 2 wins in the bank already that you don't really have the spotlight on that stuff, right? Because it was Duncan Robinson who was just unconscious, leading the way with 27 points, 8 for 9 from 3 in game 1. And Duncan, by the way, nice to see him return to form. 0 points last night, 7 minutes play. The game just didn't call for Duncan yesterday. I'm not even going to bust on Duncan for that. But that's more the Duncan that we knew from the regular season this year. 0 points yesterday. But no, so Duncan had just the monster game 1. Jimmy has an all-timer in game 2. And so, yeah, you haven't really even noticed the fact that, Bam and Tyler have been quiet. Bam, 9 points yesterday. Tyler Hero, he did get the stat line. Actually, I think looks even better than I thought. Looking at it now, had 15 points, 5 for 11 shooting for Hero. And this is something I want to talk to Ricky about. I think this series, definitely not. I think later on, maybe you could get matchups where Spo can kind of unleash him as a secret weapon on Victor Oladipo. I don't think we're going to see him unless you get like a big time blowout game. When we get our brooms out on Sunday, then maybe Vic would get some time. But I don't think he's going to be part of the rotation. Definitely not in this series, my friends. So in just a second, we're going to bring on Ricky J. Mark for the triumphant return. And it's my fault we haven't had him on in a couple months. I have no good explanation for why we haven't had Ricky J. Mark on. But we have opened up the gates. We have rolled out the red carpet, and the man, the myth, the legend will be back with us. But I want to remind you guys, we are going to be out live this Sunday for Game 4 at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, the Davie location. Come out and watch the game with us. It's going to be 7 p.m. on Sunday night. And folks, I'm being serious about this. If we get the Game 3 win on Friday and take the 3-0 series lead, I literally want you to bring your brooms to the quarterdeck. I want you to do it. Go into your broom closet or wherever you keep your brooms. A broom closet seems like an appropriate place for that. Bring your brooms out to the quarterdeck, and we're going to complete that sweep together at the quarterdeck in Davie. So come out and see us there. You guys should be going to the quarterdeck every night, really, because it's an awesome place to watch all these playoff games. The food is so good. The seafood is always fresh. They have 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. So if you want to find the location nearest to you, check out their website at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Oh, we have an official sports book here on Donno Daily, and that's betus.com. My friends, BetUS, this is your playoff betting central right here. Basketball playoffs going on, hockey playoffs right around the corner. This is a full-service sports book, fully available in Florida. It's so easy to get started. Their customer service is fantastic. That's why they are America's favorite sports book. You can even bet in-game. They have live betting on everything. Props, parlays, spreads, money lines. They even have pop culture props on there. It's not even just sports. Get on it, my friends. BetUS.com. We have the best bonus in the industry for you. When you sign up, use our code 5RSN125. Write it down if you don't think you're going to remember it. 5RSN125. That code is going to get you a 125% sign-up bonus. So if you deposit, for example, $100 with our code, they're going to give you $125 on top of your deposit in free play money. And bet on sports, horses, pop culture. They even have an online casino. You can play blackjack for real money. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. BetUS.com, our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Happy to see this man's face again. Ricky J. Mark, Superman, is in the building. How you doing, sir?
I am amazing. I'm wonderful. It's a good time to be alive, all things considered. How are you, man? How you been? I mean, I'm seeing a little more neck now. What's going on? Like, what's that all about? Look at that. I see. Okay. All right.
Dude, I'm down. I'm down now 52 pounds, man. I don't know how to stop losing weight. I've been on this fitness renaissance. I don't know how to stop.
I got to catch up to you, man. I'm about 35 down myself.
Congratulations, sir. That's big.
And it started up here. Remember the last time I was here, I was talking about what's going on up here. Not these luscious curls, but like what's inside the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts up there, man.
It does. It does, man. Because I find, like, for me, when I was gaining weight, it kind of started, because my whole life changed when my kid was born. Not that I would blame him or anything, but it changed my life, changed my mindset. And then I started to go for like foods and bad food habits as like a stress reliever, right? So you got to break those habits. And you're right. It starts up here and then it gets down everywhere else, man. And listen, I know the mental game is strong for these Miami Heat, Ricky.
Yes.
So I love it how, you can get on certain nights, you can get sort of the well-rounded workman-like efforts, or on a night like last night, you have one of the best players in the league who's capable of taking over. Let's talk about Jimmy Butler. Before we get to his performance from last night, where do you think, this is the question of the day, Ricky, where do you think Jimmy is going to stand in Miami Heat history? Like, where do you rank him among the best players to ever put on a Heat uniform? Because he's got to be in the top 3 or the top 4. Obviously, Wade, LeBron, I still probably give Alonzo Mourning a slight edge, but Jimmy is right in there.
Yeah, well, I think Zoe is the George Mikan of this franchise. He's the first major big man. No disrespect to Ronnie Cycli, but he was the first major big man for this Heat team when they were actually winning. Ronnie, I think, saw 2 playoff appearances from like 1989 to 1994 or 5, but Zoe was the one that made Heat fans really believe that they might actually have a chance to win a title. This guy was winning awards, Defensive Player of the Year, second in MVP voting in the year 2000 to Karl Malone, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won
Yeah.
2 Defensive Player of the Years in I think 99 or 98 and two, one of those, because I know it was a big decade for Georgetown big men, you know. But as far as Jimmy's concerned, I would honestly put him in the tier of Timmy and Zoe, just beneath the big three, because I don't think anyone's going to match what the big three have done unless you have a Warriors type situation where you're just amazing for like a decade because you're basically a cheat code. But what he's done for this team since he's been here when healthy, you're talking about a team that's in contention to win the finals and or get to the finals, excuse me. But and they did in his first season. So I think Jimmy, he's up there in the pantheon. The only person or the only player he will be short of in terms of small forward and guard, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, and you could do a lot worse. So
So
he's right there.
So he did a little bit of everything last night, except
Hmm.
no fouling and no turnovers. He did all the good stuff. He did. Talk to me. What stood out to you most about Jimmy's performance in that 45-point effort last night?
I think it's interesting that you said no fouling and no turnovers in one of the uglier games that we've seen thus far in the playoffs. I mean, there were 35 fouls in the first quarter or
Yeah, that's
first
right.
half or something like that. I
And
think that might have.
most of those were PJ.
Yeah, that might have been. Oh, we can talk about PJ. I got some thoughts on PJ and how he almost. I mean, that 4 minute stretch was horrific. Anyways, I'm sure we'll get to him. But in terms of Jimmy, what Jimmy was able to do, I didn't even realize he had 36 or 35 going into the fourth quarter. When you've got, there's two ways to look at it. Either somebody else isn't performing the way they should be, bam, or Jimmy's just having one of those nights and he's stupidly locked in minus the buck sweep. I think he's doing just that. I think he's stupidly locked in and in the best way, to the point where you've got people outside of South Florida saying, oh, wow, we've got bubble Jimmy back. And you're talking about a Jimmy Butler that's taking what the defense gives him without thinking he's Steph Curry. He's attacking the basket. He is, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, locked in. The way he played last night, of course, Heat fans, please do not go into this Friday expecting another 40-point outing, just because the win is what matters. But this is very encouraging from Jimmy Butler this season, especially considering how at one point this season it looked like the production was starting to slip as a result of the injuries. But it's great to see what he's doing so far.
So, Bam, should we be concerned at all, or is he going to just find his footing at some point in this postseason?
Uh, okay. I think we need to wait and see because, yeah, COVID's no joke, even if you are asymptomatic.
Right.
But I don't know, man. You're talking about a guy whose mentality has always been has been questioned for quite some time, and you know how that virus can affect the fogginess of your head. It seemed like he had a fog in the fourth quarter, like he forgot how to play. Like the nerd lux took his skills again. Shout out to the OG Space Jam, by the way. At least the star player knew how to act in that one. But yeah,
I
like
didn't watch the second one, Ricky. I've only seen the original
mm,
Space Jam.
in the interest of humanity and human rights, watch the second one because I watched it.
Okay.
All right, but you got to watch it. It's the law. But look, with Bam, I just don't want to hear him say I got to be more aggressive because we know that. I don't want to rehash those conversations that we've been having ad nauseum in this network and on Heat Twitter. We need more from him. We were able to win last night, despite his kind of wacky kind of play in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, like I've been saying all season, Bam, Jimmy, and Kyle, we're going to need them to be on their P's and Q's every game this playoffs, because I know we like to celebrate the number one seed, but this is one of those seasons where having the number one seed doesn't necessarily mean you are far and away the best team in the conference. I don't believe that this season. However, take advantage of this. They took advantage of their home court advantage in these first two games. Hopefully they go in and win on Friday and close it out over the weekend so we can get some rest for these guys, because guys like PJ Tucker and Dwayne Dedman, they've got a limited shelf life, and that's just the reality of it. And the more rest you can give them while still staying crisp, it bodes well for you while watching everybody else in the Eastern Conference beat the heck out of each other.
How about PJ? I think I loved him in game one, and I think
Mm.
he's going to have to be instrumental in a deep playoff run. Last night, though, more fouls than points.
Yeah, I think there was a point in, I think it was the third quarter, when that big lead was fading away, where it was basically the PJ hysterics show. That's not what we need. Um, be quiet. Shut your mouth. Stop complaining to the It got to the point where the TNT announcers were saying the more he complains, the more he gets fouls called on him. And the
Yeah.
thing is, you don't want a team like the Hawks getting into the bonus early, because what are they known for? Shooting. You don't want to give them reps after having a rough game, because then you'll end up with Bogey hitting shots in Jimmy Butler's eye in the fourth quarter that had a little. I was concerned. I mean, I tweeted at some point last night, this could be setting up to be a Trey Young type of dagger game where they're working their way back into the game, and next thing you know, it's tied with about 40 seconds left. Miami doesn't score on the other end, and then Trey hits a step back, and now you're up. Now you're down three. This is not what we need. He needs to keep his composure together, and he needs to keep his limbs together at this point, because we've been seeing all kinds of injury scares from him all season. It's to be expected. He's up there in years, and that's just the way it is with NBA players. But he needs to keep his composure and understand that, hey, you might not be getting fouls called your way, but look, there's a bigger picture here. We have a game to win. We have a game to close out. We got to keep these guys at bay, because look, if the Hawks get back into it, it could be a problem. We as Heat fans, we should know this, especially looking back at the teams that have beaten us when it mattered. You don't want a mini situation like what we saw against San Antonio in 2014. I'm not saying the Hawks are that good, but my goodness, you don't want these guys, you don't want these shooters to get hot, especially heading back home to Atlanta. You want to put these guys away early, because who knows? Look at what happened to the Clippers the day before their playing game. Guess who tests positive for COVID and has to sit out? And that was ultimately a death knell for them. We don't want that. We're still in an uncertain time in this league, and you need as many things to go your way as possible, so that way you can survive long enough to make a case for the NBA Finals.
By the way, I love how the first thing Anthony picks up on there is this man said, if the Hawks get back, and you're not necessarily expecting that, but
It's
I thought that
possible.
was it was a good caution, because they are going back home, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
all that the Heat have done so far, Ricky, and I'm expecting a sweep. I'm on record with that,
Mm-hmm.
but to be fair, all Miami has done so far is win their home games. That's what you're supposed to do when you're the one seed against the eight. You play the first two at home. They haven't done anything extraordinary yet. Now,
Mm-hmm.
individually, Jimmy did something extraordinary last night, but
Yes.
as a team, you've not done anything extraordinary. Now you're on the road. You got to keep them from getting back in it.
Absolutely. And here's the thing with this Hawks team. You don't want to give them life. What has been one of the biggest problems for this Heat team this season? They play with their food. You don't want to play with your food when you're talking about a team that can get hot, because one hot quarter, that could be a game, and you don't want to let them back into this series. Now, of course, all the OGs, all the vets say the series doesn't start until a home team loses a game. Let's go in and win on Friday. I believe we can. I'm with you. I think a sweep is possible. I have them more of a. It's for me. It's more of a Heat and five type situation. But if Miami does everything they're supposed to, there's no reason why they shouldn't. I'll say this one last thing. Um, the one thing that Miami can ensure is consistent is their defense. And if they maintain that, great. They're not going to shoot the way they did in game one every night. But if their defense is as stout and as disciplined as it's been in the last two games, they should be fine, because at the end of the day, that defense is what could potentially win them an Eastern Conference championship.
This is, and I like what you just said there. And I also like this from Alex T. He says, Duncan game one, Jimmy game two. He says game three, money on Bam. That would be
Maybe.
nice, Ricky. Do you think the game three could be the Bam game or maybe another Jimmy game?
Look, hey, whatever it takes to get more points than the opposite team at the end of the game. Because look, they look. Here's the reality, and I saw this guy. I don't know who it was talking about we ain't the Knicks. Well, here's a little historical fact for you. When the Knicks and Heat were playing each other 20 or so years ago, you know what ultimately mattered in terms of who moved to the next round, who had more points at the end of the game. So I know people love narratives like, yeah, game three, this is the Bam game, or game four is the Kyle Lowry game. Get more points than the other team, and then we'll go back and celebrate who performed better.
By the
That it,
way,
you know,
yeah. I want to. I saw. I don't know if it was Lex twice, but a couple people put this. I did not. I have not heard for the
Hmm.
record. I don't know what Skip Bayless actually said, so I'm going to take you at your word, Lex. He says it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me if Skip said this. I don't know though. Skip Bayless said the reason why Oladipo is not playing is because Jimmy doesn't want to share the court with him. Any truth to that? He asks.
Well, first things first, Skip Bayless is a clown. He
Yeah.
knows he's a clown, and he does that for ratings because ratings, results in higher ad revenue, which results in more revenue for the network and higher salaries. So that's a business decision. There's a reason he spouts off at the mouth the kind of hot air he's known for. As far as Jimmy and Victor Oladipo, I will defer any insider information to our insiders, Ethan J. Skolnick and Greg Sylvander, who have done a fantastic job covering this team, as well as Brady Hawk, who
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he has insider status just yet, but he's there when all the players say it, everything. So, Boy Wonder, shout out to you too. As far as Jimmy and Depot, I do remember hearing some rumblings, around the grapevine, so to speak, about Depot potentially not being a Jimmy guy. I can't confirm that. Don't aggregate me. Don't take my word for it. Again, I'm deferring to the insiders on that. Y'all go bother them on Twitter about that. But as far as Skip Bayless somehow getting a scoop on the Heat, I doubt it because you know how this Heat team is. They're very tight-lipped, and you could argue that's why ESPN hates them so much.
And speaking of ESPN, some people, including ESPN, like to this day, they still talk about the altercation during the timeout from
Hmm.
3 or 4 weeks ago, right? And the Heat were in a 4-game losing streak then, and
Yeah.
like there were stories written about how all the scars will remain from this, and I never want to hear anyone talk about Heat culture again. And then a few days ago, it was Jimmy's going to want to be traded, and it kind of stems back to that. It was pretty refreshing last night. And I love the guys on TNT are great. And I heard something post game that Kenny Smith said that I thought was really cool. So he referenced that incident, but he put more the spin on it that I've been putting on it for the last few weeks. Kenny Smith after the game, like he brought up the altercation during the timeout, but he went out of his way to say that, hey, especially with Jimmy's performance last night, how it
Hmm.
did not carry over, that what happened that day did not carry over. He said when you have a strong structure in place is the word he used.
Yes.
I would prefer to use the word culture, but I think structure also applies. That you can
Okay.
move past something like that. So I thought it was nice because most of these so-called analysts will keep bringing that up as if that's a sign that Jimmy hates it here and everything's falling apart. I thought Kenny, to me, put the correct spin on it, that was a family thing and they have the structure to work through it.
I think that's the difference between, for example, the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't think Kyrie gets traded, much less. Well, he was a Dookie, so he probably would have gotten drafted anyways. But I don't think that situation happens in Miami. I mean, there's a reason why LeBron, when he left Miami, which I'm still kind of sore about,
Me too.
he tried to bring as many Heat culture guys with him, Mike Miller, James Jones, guys like that. He tried to bring them with him to Cleveland because he knew Cleveland was a wasteland when it came to that sort of thing. They had no culture. They have a horrible owner and just a bad team that had nothing going for it before Brad Daugherty and Mark Price in the early 90s. I mean, that was pretty much it. When it comes to the culture of this team, absolutely. The structure of this team is sound. And the reality is, these sorts of things sometimes spill over. And look, and I know I want to take this opportunity to mention this one thing about Miami. The Miami Heat this season have been, for all intents and purposes, from the perspective of the national media, boring. Boring. They've been excellent when they've been good, but they've been boring because what drama have you heard come out of the locker room? That was the closest thing because it happened in the open. The players have been very clear about this. This sort of thing happens in practice all the time. Go back to game 4 of the first round in 2006 when Gary Payton and Dwayne Wade were going at it on the bench on live television. That happened. Before that, I mean, you heard about Shaq potentially going to blows with Pat Riley during a practice, which led to him being traded to the Suns in 2007, 2008. And not only that, yes, Anthony is right. There's no mega superstar on this team. I mean, the storyline surrounding this team, when you compare what's going on in Brooklyn and New York and LA and Denver and Chicago and even Charlotte, honestly, we're happy to see Omer Yurtseven averaging a double-double in his minutes, but no one cares about Gabe Vincent's minutes. I mean, that's why, honestly, for those of you that may be watching Donno Daily for the first time, there's a reason why it's important to have local coverage of these teams like the Five Reasons Sports Network. We're giving you everything that the national media isn't concerned about. And one last thing, stop complaining about ESPN not covering the Heat, mainly because, look, the Spurs were amazing from 1991 to 2018. That's like 30 years almost. And they didn't complain. You know why? Because they won. They won 5 championships, 50 wins every season, had the greatest power forward of all time, arguably, in Tim Duncan. And I mean, they're not. I mean, they got to the plan the other day, but after these last 30 years of excellence, they weren't complaining. Let's do that. Let's not lean into that because you're basically giving the rest of the basketball world fodder. Why would they care about Gabe Vincent's minutes? We do as Heat fans, but not the rest of them. So, as far as the Heat culture is concerned, great. The team is obviously very well structured and it's built in a way that allows people to see that, hey, yeah, we're not going to handle certain things like that. I mean, after all, there's a reason why Eric Spoelstra wasn't fired 2 months into the first Big Three year, because Miami decided that Spoelstra was going to be the guy. And if you don't like it, the door is right there. We've won titles without you, and we can again. And we're still waiting on that, but of course, like there's a reason why that structure was such, to the point that where even to this day, LeBron is speaking glowingly of this Miami Heat franchise. It's a world-class franchise. By the way, Bron, if you're frustrated in LA, come on home, buddy. We got a spot at the 4 for you. Just saying.
Oh, man, and what would I do? Like, I'm just being real here. I've talked so much shit since he left. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know I don't know how I would handle that, because it's like
You'll
I am of
celebrate and you'll
I
like
guess
it.
I would, because at the end of the day, Ricky, the most important thing is having the best possible players, right? Like,
Hmm.
that's the most important thing. I can have my pettiness and my agendas, but I think having the best possible players is the most important thing at the end of the day. By the
Yep,
way, let me send.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to give. Oh, Husam is actually in enemy territory. You're still in the ATL. And by the way, it was strangely entertaining watching your hangout that you had live on YouTube during the game.
I'm eating
Where
cheesecake.
Oh, is that
Hmm.
what you're eating now? Like Ricky, it was crazy. I had the game on TV,
Yeah.
and for the entire first half, I muted the TV, and I was watching. Husam and Alejandro had like a live YouTube hangout where Husam was eating pizza and chicken wings, and at a certain
Oh.
point, I'm like, "What?" For a
Mm.
guy, I've been on a diet, and I'm watching Husam on
Yep.
YouTube eating pizza and chicken wings. But Husam, that was a good job that you and Alejandro did last night.
I was eating, I was commentating, I was analyzing.
Good
Dude, I was
times.
full within the first half, seriously.
That was awesome.
Uh,
So listen, I want to send Ricky J. Mark. I want to give you an opportunity, sir, before we let you run and get back to that busy life of yours.
mhm.
People can see where to follow you on Twitter. It's his
Yes.
name, Ricky J. Mark on Twitter. Where else can people find you this week? You doing any other shows or appearances?
I should be on Before Floor before the Heat game this Friday. I have to check to see because, man, business is picking up. It really has been. I've been so busy
Awesome.
lately, but thankfully, too, actually. But I should be on Before Floor this Friday. Of course, rickyjmark.com. That's the main site. You can register to vote. You can get your COVID shot. You can do all that stuff. You can even get mental health care because that stuff is still there.
Great. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's just pretty much it. I mean, not only that, RJM Radio, we just released another episode a week or so ago about the French elections. I'm trying to get my buddy in for another episode before this weekend, but it's probably going to end up being a post-mortem. Trying to get back in the studio to do that. It's a little easier said than done because I produce, cut, edit, the whole thing, and on top of everything else going on. But yeah, I mean, other than that, just I'm around. I'm on Twitter. I'm on social media. Y'all know where to find me.
Dude, and
You
by the
know.
way, I love that you do even political stuff in other countries. Like, I want to. You may not know this, but I am a dual citizen, not with France, but for Italy, and I sometimes vote
Oh yeah.
absentee in their elections. I want to do, like, you've inspired me. I want to
Hmm.
do Italian election coverage before, and usually all their elections are insane.
Yeah, oh,
So
yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a Wondery podcast called Bunga Bunga. I'm glad you mentioned that,
Berlusconi.
and it's talking about Berlusconi. I recommend you look into that, but it's a
Ricky,
worthwhile. Yeah.
You should look into the Pakistan election and the stuff going on with Imran Khan in Pakistan.
He got they had a vote of no confidence, and they pretty much deposed him the other day, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
they
heard
pretty
about
much
that.
deposed him
Wow.
because they didn't think he was doing a good job. And the opposition,
Mm-hmm.
they're US led, basically.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
that's a podcast episode
You know what that
in and
is,
of
guys?
itself.
The globalists.
There we go. There we go.
We're trying to take on. You have to understand. We need to infiltrate political systems in Russia,
We do.
Pakistan. We already got Iraq. We'll get into Iran eventually, folks. We got to infiltrate all the political systems out
I
there.
wouldn't recommend messing with Iran, but yeah,
I wouldn't either.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either. Honestly,
that's a whole nother conversation altogether. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Ricky. Awesome breakdown as always, my friend. Everyone, make sure you check out rickyjmark.com. Follow him on Twitter at rickyjmark. He's an awesome follow, and as you could tell, very well rounded. You can have conversations with this guy just about anything, including Space Jam too. Thank you, Ricky.
A little bit, man. Thanks, guys.
You got it.
Bye, Ricky. Love you.
I love it. All right, who's some? I got something to ask you first and foremost, and this is the part of the show where people who are just here for heat going to be kind of pissed, and the people who watch me every day thinking, "Hey, this guy covers the Dolphins most every day." You're going to be happy. Are we going to get Deebo Samuel? What's going on there? I see the tweet that Deebo was it Jeff Darlington that tweeted out Deebo Samuel has officially asked San Francisco for a trade. I mean, I don't see how it's possible.
How
But
much money do the Dolphins have currently?
aren't they still top 4 in most salary cap space? We
They
can pull
still
rabbits
can
out of
get 'em.
hats, man.
They still can get him, but at what price? What draft picks
Yeah.
are giving up? What players are you going to give up? It can happen, but it's very, very, very emphasis on the very. It's going to be very tough. But remember, Miami has a lot of connections to San Francisco. Done several trades with San Francisco. They got the coach from San Francisco as well. If they do trade Deebo to Miami, yes, Miami's getting elite offensive weapons, a good head coach that can utilize them in their scheme. What about the future? In the end, you're going to have to pay guys like Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel, potentially Nick Needham in the future as well, some defensive guys, some offensive guys as well, potentially Tua. It's going to be a lot of money that you're going to have to pay in the next 2-3 years.
But if I can win a championship in the next 2 years, I don't care. I can't worry about 3 years from now because every season, the goal for every team, I mean, some teams just are hopeless, but the goal for every team should be win a Super Bowl. If I can put myself in a great position to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, I'm not thinking 3 years down the road. Just go.
That's going to be up to Chris Greer. Maybe Chris Greer's kid will finally convince him, hey, let's go get Deebo.
By the way, I felt like I was being personally called out when I saw that quote from Chris Greer, who claims like he doesn't bother social media, but his son checks Twitter and was telling Chris, before they went out and got Armstead and Tyreek Hill, that all the Dolphin fans on Twitter hated Greer. I can verify that. I'm on Twitter. I was one of those people like, wake up, somebody wake up Chris Greer. And then afterwards, we all loved the guy. I felt like I was personally being called out by that comment.
Well, listen, Dolphins Twitter somehow has gotten such a big influence into the organization. You have Tuanon now making decisions for the Dolphins organization.
Right.
You have Donno just absolutely putting so much pressure on Chris Greer. You've got guys like Ghost of Adam Gase and Sorty and people like that.
Sorty, yeah.
The extra yard crew as well. Juan Cardona just putting so much pressure on the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think Juan is going to make Nick Hicks just lose his mind. Like he's just going to like leave the country because of Juan Cardona.
Juan is something, man. Juan is something. Let me tell you that. But look, if you were listening to the press conference a lot, Ethan asked a couple questions that I asked him to ask. So a couple of my questions got answered. We'll ask about, how comfortable they're feeling in the draft as well. Like what Tua is actually working on. Again, it's just schematics and footwork as well. I don't know if you saw on Twitter or not, but Nick Hicks said that Tua's gotten much leaner
I
and
saw that. Yeah.
that Brian Flores wanted him at 230 pounds last year.
Wow.
Now, Josh Allen is 237 pounds and he's 6'5". Justin Herbert is 6'5" and 236. Tua is like 6', 6'1". If you put him at 230 pounds, he'll be built like a running back, basically. He'll lose some speed, some mobility as well. Remember, he had that hip injury, some knee issues, and some hand issues as well. So you want your quarterback to be able to move around in the pocket as well. But good press conference. We saw where the future of the Miami Dolphins was heading in. I'm excited to see how the draft plays out next week.
What did you I didn't get a chance to watch Tua. I saw some of the quotes and
Neither
it
did
was.
I. I was in
Oh, you
freaking
didn't?
Atlanta.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta traffic trying to like
Oh my God,
calm
that traffic
myself.
is terrible up there. I've been in Atlanta. I've been in traffic jams. Most of the big cities with the worst traffic: New York, L.A. rush hour, which is
It's
Atlanta rush hour
awful.
is among the worst. I don't know if you've ever been in L.A. rush hour,
I
because
don't think I want to.
LA rush hour, basically, it's like the worst of the worst that you get, like Miami rush hour, like 8:26. But the difference is, like in Miami, when you're in those like standstills on the Palmetto, 99% of the time when it's really bad, it's because some idiot got into an accident and there's lanes blocked. In LA, you can go like 4 hours to go 15, 20 miles, and there's not an accident in sight. It's just way too many goddamn people. It's just too many. There's a lot of people here, way too many people over there.
Listen, man, Atlanta. Trash
Bad.
teams, trash traffic, trash city. Sorry, Atlanta. I don't like y'all.
Wow. Well, it's good for you that most of the people watching this are not in Atlanta. If you'd said that about Miami, they'd be coming for your head.
No. Here's the thing. I was actually at the mall today as well, and I was wearing this, and I tweeted it out too. I'm like wearing my my Heat Vice hoodie at an Atlanta ball. Was this a good idea? I swear to God, there were more Heat fans in the mall than Hawks
They don't.
fans.
I said that early in the show. Hussam, I said it, that what's going to happen if the Heat go into games 3 and 4, if they're on big runs and like they're blowing Atlanta, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I hope it happens. But if they're in the Hawks building blowing them out, you're going to hear the "Let's Go Heat" chants. There's going to be a Heat fan takeover.
You're going to probably see White Hot playoffs in Atlanta too. That's how it's going to be, basically.
Can you verify that? Oh, maybe he's talking about Miami. I'm not sure. I thought at first he was talking about Atlanta. Beautiful people.
Yeah,
Are the people beautiful in Atlanta? I know they're beautiful in
Yeah.
Miami. Are they beautiful in
Yeah,
Atlanta?
they're beautiful in Atlanta as well.
Okay.
Everybody's beautiful.
What city in your travels have you found to have the ugliest people?
Well, I've only been to a couple of states. So I've been to Texas.
Okay.
I've been to Mississippi. I've been to Georgia. I've been to Maryland. I would say Mississippi.
Yeah. I've never been to Mississippi. It's probably Ohio for me. I've never been to Mississippi. So it's probably up there.
Go to Mississippi.
I will not. Oh man. So, anything else you want to add from Chris Greer? And guys, just so everyone knows, we're gonna do more of a, because the Heat don't play again until Friday. Tomorrow is going to be more of a Dolphins centric episode. Today was mostly on the Miami Heat. And you watched the Heat game last night, right? What did you think about Jimmy?
Oh man, he shut some people up. Now think about it. If ESPN and all those people were calling him bubble frauds because he was scoring 40 points in the finals and stuff, he's like, you know what? Maybe I'll just score 5 extra points to make him shut the hell up. Basically, Jimmy Butler did what Jimmy Butler needed to do. I'm more so concerned about Bam's offensive productivity. I know Eric Spoelstra doesn't give a SHIT, but you got to think. Yes, you want, like, he didn't do much even though the Heat won, but you want to get him to some sort of series rhythm. Like, what happens if Jimmy can't be the same guy he was on Friday? If Tyler Hero's not hitting those shots? If Strus and Gabe aren't what they were the last 2 games? It's going to rely on Bam, basically. And if he's not able to do what he needs to do, you're going to lose that game basically, and you're going to lose by a big margin. That's what I predict. I just think that Bam needs to get into a groove, some type of scoring groove. And I mean, he's great on the defensive aspect. You don't see it in the box score, you don't see it in the stat sheet, but you see his effect in the game. The other thing is the foul baiting that the Hawks are doing.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. It's shameless.
It's insane, and that shit doesn't fly. I'm sorry, that stuff doesn't fly in the playoffs. I just think like you're trying to create offense by just foul baiting at the end of the day. And if you look at first quarter Trae Young's points, and Alejandro pointed this out too during our stream when I was gorging on honey barbecue wings. Trae Young really only had 5 points from outside of those free throw field goals. With those points, I believe he had like 13 overall in the first quarter.
Yeah.
He had 5 of those. Just 5 were just not foul points.
Interesting. I did not know that. What was, by the way, because the honey barbecue wings were a solid choice. What did you say was on? Because you had like a weird pizza topping. Like,
I had tandoori chicken pizza.
That's what I thought it was. I was gonna say that tandoori chicken pizza. I just couldn't. It was at the tip of my tongue. I've had tandoori chicken, had pizza, never had them together. How was it?
You should. So, where do you actually live right now? Well, I mean, I don't want to.
Kendall. I mean, I'm not gonna give my address.
Okay, you're in Kendall, right? If you do go up, man, I wish I was on the network before when I was at FIU, just so you and I could hang out on Kendall and on FIU's campus.
Well, listen, I told you within the next couple of years, there's like a 60% chance I might be moving to Orlando. So then I may be up in the area you currently reside in. So if that happens, I'm just going to be stopping by unannounced every day.
That's perfectly fine. That's fine with me if I'm still in Orlando and if I'm not traveling for work. But if there are some spots in Kendall, but I'm not so sure about Kendall, I'll ask my friends. But if you do go to Broward County, if you go to Sunrise in Tamarack, there is a place called Tandoor Grill, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But doing a shameless shout out as well. But it's called Tandoor Pizza and Cuisine. It's in Oakland Park. Okay. It's in Sunrise. I believe it's not on Commercial. It's on Oakland Park Boulevard.
Dude, I used to live right. It's crazy. I used to live right by there back in 2012 through 2013. I lived there for like 2 years, like right by that. I never tried this place, so I should have gone there when I lived there. But if I'm in the area again, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's in Oakland Park. It's nearby. Like it's just like 3 miles from Sunrise Boulevard, basically. That's what it is. Nice. It's more like 3 miles north of Sunrise Boulevard. So if you do go to that place, do get their tandoori pizza. They got wings, they got subs, and they have just like regular Indian food there. And the pizza's big, dude. It's like 18 inches. It's big, bro.
I like it. Well, listen, that's a good shout. Going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes here. Going to send some shout outs first, but look quick. Let me remind you guys, my friends, we're 2 games in to this playoff run, 14 more victories for our Miami Heat. There's a lot of other games going on. I'm looking forward to Boston, Brooklyn game 2 tonight. Guys, you can bet on all these games at America's favorite sports book, betus.com. If you haven't signed up yet, there's no time like the present. Basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs coming up. Baseball games every day, international soccer, you know the drill, betus.com, full service sportsbook, fully available in Florida, by the way. Sign up with our code, type in our code 5RSN125. Write that down if you're going to forget it. 5RSN125. Use that code when you make your deposit. They're going to give you a 125% sign up bonus. You bet, you win, you get paid. betus.com. I'm going to try to get Husam's butt down here to South Florida on Sunday because we're going to have the brooms out. Game 4, we're going to be watching Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Game 4. Going to be a road playoff watch party. We'll be at the Quarterdeck Davie location. Now, the Quarterdeck has locations all over Broward County. If you want to find the one nearest to you, check out their website. You can also check the full menu there, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. Delicious seafood, awesome burgers and sandwiches. This is the place to be, guys, and we hope to see you out there Sunday at the Davie location. That's University Drive, right across the street from Nova Southeastern University. So we will see you Sunday at the Quarterdeck. Come for the food, stay for the fun.
The Quarterdeck
parting-
needs tandoori pizza now. That's what they need.
We should make that like a special menu item. Like they can do tandoori pizza.
Yeah, I can give them the halal chicken and the Quarterdeck. Where's the Quarterdeck located again?
Well, the one we're going to is in Davie, University Drive, around 30th Street, right across from Nova.
Perfect. So from there, tandoori pizza at the place is around like 10 minutes away. Just go straight down a little bit from Sunrise. You hop onto Oakland Park as well. Just take one of the adjacent streets. There is a halal butcher shop there. Now the Quarterdeck can pick up that chicken and meat and steak, whatever, and put it onto the pizza and serve halal food, bro.
Love that. I love it.
Now, I know you want me there Sunday, but I'm actually going back to work in Orlando. I'll be flying back tomorrow, and I'll be back at my home site on Sunday.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll get you out there for the next one. It's gonna be a long playoff run, Hussam. We're 14 victories away from seeing.
You should put me on like a Zoom screen, and then like we'll have like a photo of you, Ethan, and actually he'll be at the game, but everybody else, just like me in the background, like hey.
Oh my
God.
The
Quarterdeck.
And we're just gonna use because they got like the big, they got TVs all over, but they got the big screen is outside. We're just gonna devote the big screen to it's gonna be a split screen. You're gonna have the game on one side, you're gonna have Hussam reacting on the other side and eating pizza while he's watching the game.
I think next time it'll probably be some type of like sub. So like my parents FaceTimed me yesterday, like, why don't you get Ethan to get you into one of the home game, the Atlanta games? I'm like, that's not how it works. I'm like, what are y'all eating? We're like, oh, we prepped for the game. We made Philly cheesesteaks. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
All right. So maybe next time I might be eating a Philly cheesesteak.
I like it. All right, let me throw some shout outs. VG, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Anthony. Anthony was active in the chat today. I appreciate that. Brooklyn Rob, he's always active.
How come Brooklyn Rob is never in my podcast streams? I swear to God.
You got to make sure he knows you're on. He's a creature of habit, Brooklyn Rob, because he even there are certain days, I try to go 5 days a week on this show. If ever they need me to fill in for Hawk and Crowder or something, which is during the same time, I take a day off here and there. Brooklyn Rob gets very angry when I'm not on at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. So he's a creature of habit. You got to let him know.
Hawk and Crowder. That's what he does after.
Yeah. And I don't know. I heard they may need me on Friday. It has not been confirmed yet.
Tomorrow or next Friday?
Well, today's Wednesday, so 2 days.
Oh, 2 days from now.
Yeah, no, they may need me day after tomorrow. I'm not sure. It's we'll see. If I'm not there, I'm here. I'm gonna be on somewhere.
I should take over the Donno show live from Atlanta Hartsfield.
If you want to do it, we'll do it. And I know you can run your own stuff now because you never know. Like Manny's off in the woods today. He hasn't been in a long. I'm not even sure if Manny's still alive. He hasn't been in here for a while. He's alive. Yeah, I know. I talk to him every day, so I know he's alive. But yeah, no, as long as you can run your own stuff in here.
I'll be in the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport doing it from my phone and the tram, hopping onto the flight.
We're gonna lose all our subscribers.
Oh man, 100%.
Oh man, I appreciate you, Tony. 2 times. I've not even tried. I've had anchovies in certain things, but I still have not tried them on pizza. He says, I can't believe I'm saying this. The Ninja Turtles were wrong. Anchovies on pizza is magical. Haven't had it yet.
I see some people putting sardines on their pizza, and I think that's just like a civil war the Italians need to fight.
The Italians are more angry about the pineapples than because you can, as long as something's
I'm gonna eat pineapple on pizza on the stream one day. Trust me on that. I will.
Okay, I'm gonna. That content will be banned in Italy. When people log on to YouTube in Italy, this content is blocked in your location. Is what it's gonna say.
Just put hashtag Forza Azzurri on there. Goes to Italy. They just see the horror on their face. Mamma mia!
Yeah. Oh man, oh man. Have you ever seen that? There's like a meme of Joe Pesci. I think it was a scene in Casino where somebody photoshops like a pineapple on pizza. Like someone's holding his face. He's like he's being tortured. It's like when your Italian friend sees pineapple on pizza. It's like it's a really funny freaking meme. Every time I
Oh
see
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you seen that?
I see
Oh
it
my
on
god.
Google.
Every time I see that, I just burst out laughing. Javier, thank you so much for tuning in. IMAX, thank you so much for hopping in today. Caesar, thank you so much for hopping in. Greg Roberts. I don't know if I've seen Greg in here before. Greg, if
Hi,
this is your
Greg.
first time in, hi Greg, and we hope to see you here every day, my friend. Let's see. Who else? Oh, my guy, Devin Jordan. Donno, 49ers will want a first-round pick for Debo. Well, I mean, next year we got 2 first-round picks. Where would the Dolphins get the draft capital unless they give?
Well, if
Yeah, I
you
mean,
think
they
about
would
it,
have to. They would
there
have to give
are
them.
actually a couple of receivers that can play that wide back role. Eric Azuma in the 3rd round can play it. Wandale Robinson from Kentucky can also play it as well. Like there are options in this draft as well if the
Okay.
49ers don't want to pay for Debo Samuel.
Okay, I like it. Be Smoky. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. Sky is the limit 1994. It's a very complicated username. Thank you so much. Do you feel like Bam played different because he didn't win? Oh, that's a good question. Well, see, I don't think so because I think it would have been the opposite. Like if not winning or not even making top 3 of defensive player of the year, if that was affecting his mindset, I think that would have motivated him to dominate even more. I'd like to think that that was not a deciding factor there. Jermaine King, the Cookie Monster, thank you so much. Ian from Brooklyn, love this dude. Says to Hussam, bro, you're always eating.
And what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? I'm just being myself, man. This is who I am. I eat shit all the time.
That's because you're still in like your early 20s. You got the fast metabolism. Well, once you hit your mid 30s, it's like you have the same diet. Like, why am I gaining weight? Why? It's gonna catch up with you eventually. It caught up with me, that's for sure. Who else?
I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
You say that now, but then when you get older, your body starts breaking down. You're like,
I
what
know.
was
It's
I
a Drake
thinking?
quote. It's a Drake quote.
I had that went way over my head.
You're too old, man.
I am too old. Isaiah, thank you so much.
Like
Alex
you,
T.
you knew "Sweet Child of Mine" straight up.
Yeah.
The other day.
That was my era. Like and even though like I'm not that old, because like when that song came out, I was too young to like enjoy. I think that came out in 87. I was born in 84. So like I that wasn't even technically my time, but yet 60s, 70s, 80s music, that's like my sweet spot. From Beatles, Rolling Stones, Zeppelin, you fast
What
forward
the
to the
hell was
80s
in
and
the
90s.
'60s? Was that like shoe bop, doo bop type of music?
No, that you transition out of that in the 60s. That's when like the Beatles and the Stones like started to change the music game in the 60s. Pink Floyd is my jam as well. I love Pink Floyd. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the 420 music, Pink Floyd.
Oh yeah. Blaze up today, people.
Oh man. John, thank you so much for tuning in. I gotta throw a few more shout outs and we're gonna get out of here. Nathan, thank you for tuning in. We even getting Facebook messages today. I love it. I always forget that we stream on Facebook. It slips my mind. Thank you for watching us on Facebook, Daniel. We appreciate it. I don't know if that means, do you think he's a baby boomer if he's watching us on Facebook? Big Dan 305. Welcome. Let me see if anybody snuck in later on. Oh, IMAX was 12 in 87. So I know at least one person in the chat is older than me. That doesn't make me feel any better, actually. Thank you for tuning in. All right, that'll do it for us. Huge thanks to Hussam for stopping in. Huge shout out to Ricky J. Mark. It's been way too long since we had Ricky on. We got to bring Ricky on.
Can we
again
get
soon.
like betting lines on like what's the food I'm gonna eat next?
Ooh. Well, if those exist, they have them at betus.com, our official sports book. I'm going to go. I mean, you kind of already, unless you were purposely misleading us, you've kind of already hinted that you're going to have some kind of a sub. I'm going to go. You're going to have like a tandoori chicken sub. Like you're going to find a way you're gonna find a way to like incorporate like Indian cuisine into whatever sub you eat.
Probably. Like with birria tacos, like there's this like beef stew we call nahari.
Mm-hmm.
I just take the meat and I make birria out of it. Simple like that. It's like basically Indian style birria tacos.
I would try that, man. I like Indian food. I'm assuming Pakistani food is pretty somewhat similar to Indian food.
It basically is, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I would take that.
Honest.
Like I remember, did you watch Seinfeld, or you're just too young for that?
I'm too young for that.
Okay, so
But I
when
did watch some of it with my dad when I was younger. I just don't remember.
No, when Babu Bhatt opened up the Dream Cafe across the street from Jerry's house, and Jerry went there, and Babu, he had cuisine from all over the world, but it was like didn't really have a specialty, it was just too much. And Jerry was like, Babu, why don't you make this a Pakistani restaurant? You could have the only Pakistani restaurant in the neighborhood. And then Babu closed down the Dream Cafe for a couple of weeks, reopened it with only Pakistani food. Nobody came. And I felt so bad. I'm like, Babu, I would try Pakistani food. So when he reopened, he's like, Jerry, you are a nice man, very nice man. He's like, no, I reopened the restaurant Pakistani. No one came. And it was, you're a bad man, very bad man. He got very angry at Jerry. It'd be funnier if you'd seen the episode.
Probably. You're not very good with impressions except for Alex Jones. But I did watch a TikTok video this morning. There was this dude who was making a crawfish broil out of Sunny D.
What?
Sunny D, paprika, red chili pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Dude, it is
goodness.
It's basically poison for your toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plumber is going to be on retainer if you make those too often.
Like,
oh my goodness.
Oh man.
All right. We're out of here. Huge shout out, Hussam, Ricky J. Mark, everybody who tuned in. We'll talk to you next time in another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.